Welcome, everybody, and thank you for coming. Our first question is really just asking about your own personal priority. If elected, what do you consider to be your top priority for your tenure?
Christopher Lim. I think my priority for my term would be working with the CAA and the district to craft a district-wide behavior management and tracking system. We have escalating behavior challenges in the classroom and no district-wide behavior policy and data tracking. Consistent reporting and data collection would allow us to appropriately make decisions, help classroom teachers, and work towards a safer environment for teachers and students. I think we've seen a number of incidents where teachers felt like they were in an unsafe working environment. We've had students confront racism directly in classrooms, and unfortunately, sometimes the families and teachers impacted have been told that they are outliers. And I think that we as a district need to acknowledge the problem and then take steps to work towards fixing it.
The question is, the school committee is itself part of the culture of white supremacy that has perpetrated racial inequities in CPS. So how will you, as a school committee member, work towards dismantling that culture?
I think philosophically, what I could do as a school committee member working to dismantle white supremacist culture would be working towards acknowledgement. I think that a statement of acknowledgement from the school committee and the superintendent would be extremely powerful, acknowledging the work that the Black Student Union has done, supporting other cultural clubs that are student-driven and student-led and student-focused would go a long ways to helping bridge that culture gap. I think on a smaller, more detailed level, something as simple as parking at our schools would help address some of that cultural bias. Because how is it that we are pushing for fewer parking spots at our new school buildings and then trying to say that we are actively seeking teachers of diverse backgrounds? If you do not live in Cambridge and you cannot afford to live in the city, are you going to choose Cambridge as a destination as a new teacher if they cannot guarantee you parking at the school that you will be teaching at?
And the question is, what specific changes would you recommend that the district undertake in order to improve the experiences of students with special needs in the Cambridge Public Schools?
Thank you. My son was on an IEP. We had incredible interactions with his occupational therapist as well as his physical therapist at 2 elementary schools in Cambridge. Unfortunately, our family's experience was not uniformly shared in our community. Too often, our families that have special needs have been treated with skepticism and condescension. I think that probably the most specific change I would recommend is kindness. We need a transparent process, we need improved communication, and we need compassion in how we communicate with our families that are seeking additional services because they have special needs.
For many years, educators in Cambridge have voiced concerns about over-testing at the district and state level. How will you respond to those concerns?
I've spent a lot of the last 2 months trying to go to each school in our district and meeting with the administration or teachers or parents, and sometimes all three. And what I've found interesting is that there's a disconnect within our own district of what we call an assessment and how we talk about it and how it makes the various stakeholders feel. I've been told by a number of teachers in districts that they feel like the number of assessments has increased. I've been told by administrators that they feel that the number of assessments has decreased. And I feel like that conversation alone would go a long ways to sort of addressing this issue and being honest with each other about what we're talking about and what we mean by assessment. I totally agree that we are testing our kids too much. I don't believe in high-stakes testing, and I think that we should minimize the impact on students and teachers as much as possible while still meeting state and federal requirements.
Candidate Lim, you wrote that you'd like to see more rigor and consistency in educators reporting on student skills. Can you describe your plans for improving communication between educators and families about these skills?
As a non-educator, my son's a sixth grader, and I have depended on my wife to sort of parse the report cards that come home because it involves a lot of reading between the lines and understanding what a two-letter acronym means across 5 grade levels. And I think what I meant when I wrote that was that I struggle as a non-educator to understand exactly what the teachers are trying to say. And it feels in many ways that the assessments that get sent home are in some ways too rigid to allow the teachers to say what they really want to say. And I would encourage us to sort of take work with the CEA and take a deeper look at how we can communicate more clearly to a parent, because ultimately what I want is the professional's opinion of how my kid is doing, where he is compared to grade level, how he has worked to improve from the previous year, and what he needs to work on and how I can help him.
Thank you.
I would like to thank any educators present or watching this forum for their service. We have amazing educators in Cambridge, and we don't say thank you often enough. I know all too well how much you and your families sacrifice in order for you to show up to work every single day prepared to teach and learn. From scrambling to finding a parking space, making changes to lesson plans that you thought up in your sleep, making copies, gulping down a last bite or sip of breakfast, and hoping to get to a bathroom for your last chance to use the facilities of your own volition for the next 6 to 8 hours. The challenges facing Cambridge public schools are systemic and difficult to address. We have a growing population with a corresponding increase in class size, escalating behavior challenges paired with the need to have fairness for all, and long-standing achievement gaps not only in elementary and secondary schools, but continuing on to post-secondary education. I believe that supporting our teachers is our strongest hope of improving our school system, not by telling them more things to do, but by assisting them in the classroom, providing more staffing as the situation mandates, supporting them as they explore innovative practices, and by maintaining reasonable class sizes. We need to create thoughtful and transparent systems that follow up on and track administration and school committee initiatives to determine if they have positive outcomes on teaching and learning. We need to create opportunities for teachers to work with each other and observe each other in front of students. Lastly, we need to continue and expand on the work the CEA and district did with the Nellie Mae Grant to address racial inequities and the achievement gap. As the father of a sixth grader at Rock, the husband of a public school teacher with 24 years of experience, an engineer who has worked with complex systems my entire career, the coach of Cambridge youth soccer and baseball teams, and a consistent volunteer at Cambridge Public Schools, I am uniquely qualified to be a part of this process. I'm Christopher Lim, and I need your #1 vote on November 5th. Thank you.